me. It was 15 quid off. Nothing fancy about it, just miserable bastard.
Right, I think we're on. Let's get talking. Well, I don't need any encouragement to do that. I never have.
No, really, you don't.
So, how's your week been? I haven't talked to you for a bit. How's life?
It's been dead on.
Dead on.
Aye.
Yeah.
Dead on, apart from feeling a bit shite, you know.
Yeah. Anything?
What
I haven't
can you
really,
do?
to be honest, living over here,
That's
I haven't really done a good job of keeping up on the news in the UK. What's the crack with the lockdown? I still don't fully understand it now. Like, so everything is
Still
closed.
hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Everything's closed or not? What's the crack with having a meal? Are you allowed to go to the pub as long as you fucking eat? Is that how it works?
Aye, something like that.
Yeah.
But then again, I think some of the licensed places, well, you can go as long as I think it's a substantial meal, they say.
So is
Substantial meal, so,
is there a written guideline for what constitutes a substantial meal?
well, it can't be a fucking sausage roll or something in 10 pints, that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, they've got to be working around it somehow. There's got to be a way.
There's bound to be, because there's that many fucking pissed off people. There's bound to be some of them, you know, trying a little fly move some way to get around it all, because you would never survive otherwise.
No, no. Yeah, well, that's what's annoyed me about it, because I think the private sector's done a really good job of coming up with like innovative ways to get around all of the legislation. And it just annoys me when people are trying in the private sector to sort of come up with clever ways to get around everything and keep making some money and keep the economy ticking over. And it seems like every time they do, the motherfuckers in Westminster just come up with new ways to shoot them down in flames.
That's right. We're out of lockdown, but our tears are worse than lockdown ever was. But it's not lockdown, so don't worry.
It's so fuck.
It's all fucking crazy.
Did you read about the one story from World Affairs I wanted to talk about? Did you read about the Iranian guy getting killed?
Oh yeah,
fucking assassinated. What do you think of that? Who do you think's behind it? The Israelis? It's got to be, hasn't it?
Well, I would say it would probably be them, all right. It's like got all the hallmarks of a proper hit. Like, put it like this: when you look at the pictures, they weren't fucking about. You know, it wasn't. They weren't leaving anything to chance. It was definitely going to be. We're going to get him by hook or by crook.
Don't you think that's a damning indictment? If they've felt the need to kill the guy, don't you think that's a damning indictment of this whole Iranian fucking peace deal thing? Because obviously we were giving them millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and obviously they were fucking still trying to build a bomb the entire time. It seems to be lunacy to me that why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't the Republican types over here saying, why did we send $500 million to Iran if they've been building a bomb the whole time anyway? It seems to me to be if that's the case, and they've had to fucking give him both barrels because they're that close to getting a bomb, that should be a damning, savage indictment of our attempts to placate them, surely.
Of course it is, but it's just like everything else. It's what is done in public and what's done in private. You know, there's all these things done in public and there's all the hoopla that goes with it. And then the next thing, well, there's people doing things behind the scenes and then somebody gets pissed off about something and then things like this happen. Yeah. And the thing about it is, what's going to be the retaliation? Is there going to be any fallout of it? Maybe a few rockets or something, a bit of to and fro, but probably nothing major, because these things are always, well, for want of a better way of describing it, blow up at the time, and then it kind of dies down and things return to normal. But you never know. It's 2020. They could nuke them in the morning, you know. Yeah.
No, it's one of them things, isn't it? Back to UK politics. Although we should be talking about, first of all, because I always ask you, what you're drinking today then? You covered it when we weren't on camera.
Oh, nice. It's the, you can get it.
Talisker 10.
Talisker 10. Yep, nice, sort of like a wee bit different from the norm that I've been having. It's from the Isle of Skye. It's nice, peaty and smoky sort of one, but not too much in your face. Some nice floral and sweeter notes in there too.
Right. Nice one. And the recommended retail price?
45 quid, but being the sneaky bugger and miserable bastard that I am, I saw it at 30 quid, so it was coming home. But I wouldn't buy it at 45, but at 30 all day long. It's one of those ones back at the start.
Is that the normal price, 45, Nick?
Which is quite expensive for a 10-year-old, even though it is a good one. But it took me a long time to get sort of used to that. I had a bottle of that sitting for a few years, sipping at it, and then one night it was just boom, hit.
Right, people whinging about the camera. Sorry, that's because I've left the blinds open and my chair was low. I think it seems to not like the sun in the background, which I'm sure anyone who knows anything about photography will tell me. Of course, it is, you silly bastard. But I'm at California and it's fucking 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's nice and sunny. So I apologise if that's killing my camera feed. But you don't come here to look at me. You come here to listen to the shit that we talk, right? It doesn't matter if I'm a bit dark. So there's booze. I'm just drinking what I always do, fucking JW, because I don't fuck around.
Good stuff. 9 o'clock in the morning is a good time to start.
Yeah, that was, you know, when the Rugby World Cup was on back when I was living in York. I remember me and my missus going to the pub. The pub was open and it was when it was in New Zealand. We were in the pub for like 3:30 in the morning. It was fucking quality. And it was like, I had like 8 pints and they put a barbecue on. So you had like an Aussie style barbecue, the first thing. So you're eating bacon butties and eggs banjos and fucking pints at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I had about 8 pints, watched the fucking game, went back at about 11 o'clock in the morning and fell asleep on the couch with my pants off, just with my undies and the t-shirt on. And my missus took a photo and sent it to her mum and said, "This is what happens when you marry an Englishman. You come into this at 11 o'clock in the morning." But that's a good thing with the time. Starting too early.
It's even worse if you had to marry an Irishman, because whenever I was living in London for a while, I shared a townhouse with one of my colleagues, who was an Essex boy, a good bit younger than me, and obviously quite
a pisshead.
Well spoken, you know, he's quite posh, and I called him my pet, my posh English twat.
But, you've told me that. You've told me.
But the thing is, whenever I left and come back here, and he got another guy in to share the flat, he phoned me up one night after about 3 weeks and said, "You've got to come back over here and teach Nick how to be a proper housemate. He's been here 3 weeks and I haven't found him lying drunk on the floor yet."
What a fanny. Rago,
indeed.
Oh yeah, I'll check the chat and we'll do some probably some UK politics, because who cares about what the Israelis are doing, eh?
I don't think they care anyway.
No.
They just go and do whatever the hell they want, and that's it.
The more Arab nations sign up to the peace accord, the more isolated Iran becomes. Yep, obviously that's good drills. Again, something they said was impossible. Did you see that? Did you see that Twitter video that? Who put it up there? Some big talking head on Twitter, and it was. Yeah, I know it was. You know the like Indian Australian girl who works for Sky News Australia?
Yes.
Is it Ruth or Rita or something? Everyone likes her. Because Sky News Australia is based as fuck, and Sky News England is UK is like fucking communism light, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't watch it. I can't watch it.
It's shocking. But she put a video up and it was, look at this clown, and it was John Kerry. Again, yet another swamp creature. Like fucking decades in Washington. Fuck everything up. Never do anything useful. Never be worth a wank. Still there after all these years. And he's on camera, proper, like, talking to the camera saying, "I'm telling you now, this is how it is. Let's stop beating around the bush. No one will ever have a peace deal in the Middle East. There will never be any acceptance. There will never be any accords. Like, this is how it is." He's proper, like, you know, giving it some. Yeah. And she just shared it on Twitter and said, "Has a man ever been this wrong in 60 seconds? Like, everything they say is wrong. And we're apparently, like you and I, are supposed to listen to them." This is one of the reasons what I told you why I started doing YouTube, because it's like, because I'm a fucking wanker and I want people to, I just basically want to be able to point at things when I'm 60 and say, "See, I was right," because I'm a chippy northern wanker. And I just started thinking, you talk about this in the pub with your mates, and you really do get more right than the professional pundits, the elites, the educated fucking airy-fairy types. They know nothing. Like, I've never known people be consistently wrong that often and get paid for it. If you're as wrong as that and you were a bin man, you'd wrap the fucking truck round a tree 3 times a week, wouldn't you? Like, all they are is wrong. I don't understand how they're still employed, these fucking people.
That's right. And if Sleepy Joe does finally get in, he's lined up for another top job again.
Oh.
It's like, what the fuck? And I'm not sure whether it was yourself or one of the other channels that said there during the week that these old political dinosaurs don't always seem to realise that we're living in a technological age now where all this shit that they've been saying over the years, people can easily access it and have a look at it.
Yeah.
And they can blatantly go on and lie and lie and lie. I didn't say this, I didn't say that. And all you have to do is pull this video up.
I know.
There it is.
I know.
Yet the old people still fucking support them.
I've been talking to my missus about that. When we go for a walk, we talk politics, and I was like, that's what it is, It's exactly right what you've said. I've basically said the exact same thing. It's like, because politics for centuries, well, millennia really, since fucking ancient Greece, they've had to communicate by a fucking telegram or carrier pigeon, send a fucking raven. So only as far as the 1930s or the 40s, the best you had was a wireless. And if you didn't listen to it like one of the tiny fraction of people that listen to it live, they can go to fucking Delaware and say one thing, and then a day later say the exact fucking opposite 100 miles down the road. And the silly bastards in charge still think they're living in that era.
That's right.
And as you say, the amount of times you go on Twitter now and fully see them, especially Sleepy Joe and Trump as well, to be honest, because they all lie. But they say one thing, and then the next day, they're on fucking Twitter, not even the next day, 5 fucking minutes later, they're on Twitter saying the exact opposite. And I don't think that's what politicians have realised, because they're all fucking boomers and above. They're all old, aren't they? There's very, very few under the age of fucking 40. It's like they don't seem to realise that they can't get away with it anymore. And
there should be a cut-off age.
I agree with you. And and you can say that to about AOC, right? Because she's young and she gets it. AOC doesn't. I haven't seen her tell any barefaced lies. All she does is spout insane communist rhetoric. But she doesn't say because have you noticed she's never done it because she's young and she gets it. Yeah, I've never seen her once be in a room with loads of Democrats and say what she wants to say, which is oh yeah, I'm totally moderate. Yeah, of course we shouldn't get rid of the police. Of course we shouldn't do this. Of course she's never been caught out doing a barefaced lie like the likes of Pelosi and Biden. Because she must know some cunt is going to have this on a smartphone and within 5 minutes it's going to be on Twitter. So she doesn't get caught out. Which is why she's so fucking scary, isn't it? Because she can't get away with pretending she's a moderate like Biden and Pelosi, who pretend when they're trying to appease the useful idiots. They pretend they're fucking communists. And then you can just go on Facebook and go, oh yeah, well 5 days ago, you said, have a public and a private persona. You're all about the banks. You're all about big business. You can't do that. But so at least thick twat that she is, she does know that. She knows you can't just contradict yourself within an hour.
She's just batshit crazy.
She's a true believer. She's a true
obviously,
believer.
she's just like a programmed robot.
Sean said she lied about the kids in the cages. What did she lie, or is she just fucking ignorant? I think she's a moron and she doesn't know that they've been in cages for fucking 10 years. I think she's just a fucking idiot. Unless maybe she is. Maybe I'm giving her a bit too much credit and she's both a liar and a communist. But to be frank, a communist's worse than a liar, David Cameron was a liar, but he wouldn't have put us all in a fucking gulag. So I'm not really worried about the lying.
Didn't Obama come out there either yesterday or the other day and come out and head out at Trump for the cages as well? And it was him that built the fucking things.
Surely not. Surely. Did he do that? I didn't see that. Unbelievable.
Now, nothing's unbelievable with that slime bag. He's got the persona. He comes across as a slick statesman and stuff, but if you really look at him, when you can admire the way he holds himself and he can speak, but he's just a slimy, smug shite bag.
That's a very politically correct way of putting it.
That's good alliteration too.
Yeah, Always good alliteration on YouTube. I will say though, I think I am left with a lot of the people who listen to me on Obama, because I don't despise Obama. I think if you look at his record, he was tough on immigration. I don't. My point is, I don't give politicians that much shit for lying, because they all lie, and I think it's wrong to dwell on it when that's basically, if you don't lie in politics, you're not fucking gonna win anything. So even the ones I love, like Thatcher, she lied. They all lie, because you have to say whatever you think's gonna win you the argument or the debate, or especially even climbing to the top amongst your own party, because they're not gonna let you. Thatcher had to beat all of the rest of the Tories to get the party leadership, so they get used to lying for a living. So I don't give him shit for lying. Obama lied all the time. But they all do that.
You're never going to get to the top of any of these organisations unless you're a slimy weasel in some way. You're going to tell lies, you're going to backstab people, you're going to throw other people under the bus, you'll trample up over the top of piles of the bodies that you've discarded along the way just to get to the top.
Yeah, and that's my point about Obama. If you actually look at what he did, the Yanks call him a communist. And Barack Obama, for all of his flaws, wasn't a communist. You think it's logical to call him a communist or a socialist, Obama?
No, he wasn't a communist.
No, and that's my point. Like they say he was a communist. It was like, he's not even that far left. If you look at his record, right, he has like three things you can't get away from with Obama, right? He bombed the fucking shit out of everyone, right? Which is not left-wing politics. At least I don't think it would be. I mean, they are when the gulags and the authoritarianism starts, but the likes of AOC don't support bombing the shit out of everyone. He definitely deported more people than any president in US history. So the American Republicans don't like facing up to that, but he didn't collapse the borders and let in millions of illegals. He didn't turn a blind eye to immigration. He deported fucking hundreds of thousands. I think they called him the deporter-in-chief because he deported 500,000 Mexicans. So he might not have screwed the nut as well as he could have done. And I've been led to believe that that's due to states' rights, because the libertarian types, people like me, in America are always kicking up a fuss about states' rights, saying you have to allow the states as much leeway as you can give them, which is something in Trump's favour, because the reason Trump didn't do a great job on the coronavirus is because Trump gets it, and he's he's got a libertarian streak, and Trump basically said, I'm not doing fuck all you guys do your own shit, which I fully support. But that's why he didn't do a particularly good job, because of states' rights. So when you've had places like sanctuary cities, that's not really Obama's fault. If he was something of not an authoritarian, but a sort of central power sort of guy, someone like Trump, for example, when they're all having a go at Trump, saying he's power mad and he's a dictator. If that was true, the COVID-19 crisis would have proved it, because it would be the perfect opportunity for Trump to centralise power and say, right, all fucking 50 states are doing exactly what I tell you. But he didn't do that, because he isn't a fucking fascist like the thick twats say that he is. But what I'm saying is, in the same way, Obama wasn't some sort of communist fucking commander-in-chief, because he did allow the states to make their own decisions. And as far, maybe I'm wrong, there might be cleverer people than me that have really got into the weeds of it, but the sanctuary cities was down to states' rights. You had fucking idiots in San Francisco, like Gavin Newsom, and all of them fuckers. They're the ones who set up this sanctuary city laws. They're the ones who allowed Kate Steinle's killer to fucking walk free. Did you ever read about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's all. It's just all screwed up. It's all these same stupid people that are doing the same stupid fucking things, and yet and all, you've got the likes of fucking Cuomo getting a bloody Emmy for killing people.
Unbelievable.
In essence, Jesus, how does that work? If Trump had become totally dictatorial, says this is going to happen in all the states, what Cuomo did up there. Could you imagine the outrage? Either that, or he could have got the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, but again, right, and that's politics. Trump is in a lose-lose situation. If he'd have dealt with it how you would need to deal with it really well, like the Germans dealt with it well because the Germans are statists. So the Germans, I've told you this before, when the Irish or the English or the fucking Scottish, because we're just more liberal fucking people at heart, If we see a drunk guy passed out next to a bus shelter covered in shit at 6 o'clock in the morning, we say, hey, he really should be at work, that silly cunt, and then we step over him and go to fucking work. But the Germans see that and they insist on coming up with a fucking plan because the statists, so they see that and they go, fuck, we have to help him, we have to have an intervention, we have to do this, we have to have this. We just go, fuck it, let him do what he likes. He's a silly cunt, but let him do what he likes. And that is why the Americans are the way they are. Like, they're of the same stock. The Irish, the Scottish, the English, we're not like the Germans where they like centralised power. Like I said, we like bottom-up democracy. We like to go to the town hall in Middlesbrough and have the MP sitting in there and you call him a cocksucker to his face. That's how we like to run things. The Germans, like Frau Merkel, I mean, they love the cunt. She's a fucking twat. And she invited 1 million third-world strangers in, predominantly fighting-age men, and they love the cunt because she did deal with it really well considering what was going on. She made a plan and she fucking filtered it down to every fucking section of the country and they had a nice, neat way, orderly way of dealing with it. Shit fucking thing to do in the first place, but it proved my hypothesis about the Germans. They're like top-down fucking autocracy and we like bottom-up, I'm in charge, you cunt. We like to remind the arseholes that they work for us. And the Americans were never going to deal with COVID-19 well because Donald Trump isn't a fascist dictator. And when they said, we've got this coronavirus, he said, I don't give a fuck, you cunts do it yourself. So whatever they did in New York, totally different from what they did in Alabama. And everyone's had their own way of dealing with that, haven't they? And this is what I can't understand about people who call Trump a dictator. Like, if he was a dictator, he would have fucking leapt at the chance to centralise power and basically have total authority over all 50 states, but he didn't do that. And then he didn't do it, so the fucking coronavirus statistics went up and they went, oh yeah, well, he's a cunt anyway. It's like, how can he win? And that's politics, but how can he win in that situation?
He's always going to be in a catch-22. So he is. It's like, the wife's ringing me, hold on here. I better answer just in case. She's supposed to be home like fucking 2 hours ago.
Well, you talk to him and I'll talk to him.
Hello dear, you're live on YouTube. What do you want? Yes.
Well, your mic's good, I can hear her.
Aye. I'm talking to Matt.
Bootneck, ask
Matt in America.
50p.
Whiskey and politics. Yes.
Paul Joseph Watson nailed it on. Oh yeah, Paul Joseph Watson's video, fantastic. I watched that.
Very well. Radio. Bye. See there. Yeah, that's it. Sometimes he does communicate with me.
Did you watch Paul Joseph Watson's video about his nomination for Secretary of State?
What's that?
You know who Paul Joseph Watson is? He's a fucking big YouTuber.
Because I watched his YouTube video yesterday.
Oh yeah, well that's it. It's Biden's nomination for Secretary
of State.
State.
That one. Yeah. No, I do. I've watched Paul Joseph Watson for years. He's brilliant.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Alex has just said in the chat that American lefties would probably feel quite at home in the Conservative Party. That's what I keep saying. Like, Obama's not fucking a communist. He's basically a milquetoast, left-leaning fucking arsehole, like most of the UK Conservative Party, which is about as conservative as well. The Conserve fuck all, which is another point we can segue into. Did you see Macron? I made a video about Macron. Screwing the nut on Islam. He's like, oh shit, I said it. I guess when you go out live, I forget to censor myself. I try not to say the I or the M word because I don't get banned. But basically, Macron's got it fucking right. Like, and the American left make out like Macron's a fascist. They've wrote stories in the New York Times and the Washington Post saying like Macron's fascist light. Macron is a white supremacist. It's like, I don't know what planet you have to be inhabiting to think that responding to the beheading of school teachers quite aggressively makes you the fascist. It's like, what about the guy who's just chopped a bloke's fucking nut off? What do you call him?
Yeah, that's what's wrong with these fucking people. They're so into their ideology that even the victim deserves it. The person who caused the other person to be the victim is more of a victim than the boy in the head.
Madness.
You know, it's just, I try really do try to get into the mindset of some of these people. And, it would be easier to get into the mindset of serial killers because at least they seem to have some sort of a reason for what they're doing, something that's happened in their life, some sort of trigger point or something like that. But these other people, it's like, well, they're just beyond reason. You can't reason with them. You can't have a reasoned argument. You can't put down facts and figures in front of them. And then they'll look at it and go, do you know what? You're right. No, they're not. Like, you're a fucking bigot. You're a nasty Nazi. You're a racist. You're all these things. No. But facts matter. No, facts don't fucking matter to them.
They can't do it.
It matters. It's
they
just
can't do it. A friend of mine always chirps up. Like, I'm in a few Royal Marines groups, and there's a few Bootneck lads on my page who I chat with. And a friend of mine over here, he's from California, always argues with them all. Which is something, by the way, I hardly recommend to anyone listening. Don't argue with a perfect stranger. You can argue with your mates, but if a perfect stranger is one of them twats who, you know what I'm talking about, when it's a friend of a friend, like you're talking to your mate on Facebook, and then someone who he's friends with who you've never met in your life pops up. Just don't even get into it because like it just turns into a shit show. But this cunt always pops up, and I've noticed with him, no matter what figures you show him, he just says that's fake news. Them figures are nonsense. Here, look at my figures. And his figures are from, OccupyDemocrats.com or something. And he's like, look at these. And it's literally, you can show them ONS statistics, YouGov polling, like stuff that normal humans think would be reliable. And they go, no, that's all just fake statistics. Here's my statistics from, www.orangecunt.com or something. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't talk. You've given too much credit saying serial killers because they're at least human. I'd say I could better understand the mind of a crab or a fucking headlouse.
That's right. Like, I know if you want to be a criminologist or something like that, you have to do all this years of study, so you can get into the mindset of these people, I'm all interested in that sort of stuff. But fuck knows how many years of studying you would have to do to try to get into the mindset of these people.
Brooke said
it's just impossible, It's just it's.
Brooke in the chat said it'll be easy to understand Harold Shipman. Harold, yeah. Well, you can understand Harold quite easily, can't you? That was self-interest. That was money.
That's right.
Harold was topping them for the inheritance, wasn't he? He was getting the old fuckers to write him into the will. But again, you have to laugh at the fucking detectives. Like, you would think after he did his 11th inheritance from an old woman, he's a particularly nice doctor. Like, how often is it where fucking old women leave their inheritance to the doctor? It's not very fucking often, is it?
That's right. Well, the fucking doctor's not getting mine, I can tell you.
The dog's on.
I don't even know about that. No, whoever will get anything from me, the way things are going, it'll just be fucking debt to pay off.
The shocking and this whole coronavirus thing's just absolutely doing my head in now. Like, it got old months ago. I think for the first, like I've said again, try not to be judgmental. You've got to know me quite well by now. Joking aside, I act like I'm judgmental as fuck for comedy value, and I'm always like, he's a cunt, fucking asshole. But in reality, I'm not a judgmental person, and I always try to like get into the mindset of other people and think, right, where are they coming from? And on the coronavirus, like I said, I don't think I'm being too harsh. It was like if February, March, April, we didn't know what was happening, but by May, we'd crunched all the numbers. And I wasn't visionary on that. Like I said, I've been sceptical since March, but that's only because I read Peter Hitchens. I've told you this before. Peter Hitchens wrote a fucking piece in like late March, and it was bang on the money. And after everything I'd read, Peter Hitchens made the best argument. So I was just parroting him the entire time. I was arguing with all my mates in the WhatsApp group, and they started calling me a conspiracy theorist, and I was like, I'm telling you, Hitch made the best points. Like, it totally makes sense. He was crunching the numbers from like prior flu epidemics and stuff, and saying, it's not that dangerous, and almost everyone that dies has got comorbidities, so we're making them out of a molehill. And then he made the argument about how much all the other things will kill, and the biggest one was we act as if getting the economy crippled doesn't kill people, And it absolutely does. And he said, if you don't have an economy, you don't have an NHS. And I was like, you know what, you can't argue with that logic. I'm now a lockdown skeptic. But you could give anyone leeway for being afraid. People worry about their wives and children. You can't have a go at someone for being all in with lockdowns and that in like February, March, April. But what's unforgivable is getting to like May, June and crunching the numbers and having them right there in front of your fucking face and carrying on with it. And like I said to you, that's what I cannot forgive them for. It's not initial lockdown and the initial fear. It's the utter refusal to be man enough to admit you were wrong.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Politicians just don't do it.
And then the people who are still all in on it, because all they do is feast on a daily basis on the mainstream media, the Sky, the BBC, CNN, or whatever, and they're just like, oh God, this is fucking horrible. Like, I think the BBC today, what was their main story? Oh shit, wrong page. Was something about it's gone now, is it? About how bad it's going to get over Christmas, and it will just be.
You know what? With that, I've started calling that the fucking hokey cokey. It's the hokey cokey, isn't it? If you're going to do a lockdown, even right, so I'm not into the lockdown, but if you were, at least do the lockdown properly and be like, right, every cunt's locked in for fucking 6 months or something. But the hokey fucking cokey, in out, shake it all about. What the fuck planet are you living on to think that's a good idea? So they lock everyone in for 6 weeks, and then every cunt's going to be out on the piss getting mortal and partying fucking over Christmas. Big gangs of people having house parties and that. And then it's going to fucking lock everyone down in January, isn't it? But I guarantee that's what's going to happen. And I'll fucking say it right now, 100% you're in fucking lockdown in January. Definitely.
Yeah. But the big thing is, if you really were like a logical thinker, can you honestly say right off that if this was such a bloody deadly pandemic, it would ease it and give you like 5 days over Christmas just to do whatever the fuck you want? No, they wouldn't.
No.
And plus, the other thing is that come out, if you looked at the ONS stats over here during the week, from February up until last week, so 339 people under 65 with no pre-existing conditions died with coronavirus. Everyone else had pre-existing conditions, and 95% of them were over 80 or something.
I know. Mad as fuck. 95% of them were over the average life expectancy.
Yeah.
Like the average life expectancy is like 80, and 95% of them were 81 or above. It's like, it's fucking mad. You know, here's another statistic about, because I was against the schools locking from day one because of the figures. Sweden never closed the schools, and not one kid died. Not one. They're the official numbers, not one single kid. And we've had the little fat cunt sitting at home for the last 6 months. Like, fucking, how bad is that for the long-term education? My nephew already had the fucking IQ of a fucking pull-along duck, and the little cunt's been sat at home for 6 months. So what's he going to be like when he goes back to school? He'll have regressed. He could tie his shoelaces last time I seen him. He'll be back on fucking Velcro or flip-flops when I see the cunt next. I just can't fucking get over it.
It's just, and then again, it's another thing you pointed out and say, look, go and look it up for yourself. No, you're a gammon COVID-idiot. Oh,
the Gammon's in today. I just seen him. I haven't seen the Gammon live. Where is he?
Fuck me.
There he is. The Gammon's in. And Kate. Hello, Kate. Brooke, can you actually throw people out now, Brooke? I tried to make Brooke an admin, and I'm not sure if he can, but apparently if someone's spamming the chat, he can kick them out, hopefully.
Oh, you'll always get some arsehole about somewhere, like, so you will.
The Gammon. I was educating some twat on Twitter. He was the two things I want to say about this. I like the mayor of Middlesbrough. Again, he's got his flaws. He's a politician, but he's an independent because Borough was Labour for years. Finally started to get some idea that they're just even worse because my whole argument with that is, right, you probably know this. There's loads of regions in the northeast, specifically because of all the mining towns, that are just hardcore Labour. Because ever since Thatcher, it's sort of like Scotland. Ever since Thatcher, they just have an irrational hatred for the Tories. Well, I don't like the Tories either. Fucking all cunts. But my point is, they always vote Labour. In Middlesbrough, I think after seeing like 30 years of Labour cronyism where they did nothing, they've started going independent. So now we've got an independent mayor, and he's a good fucking fella. Andy, I forget his surname now. Andy Robertson, I think it is. And it made me laugh because he shared a video on his Twitter the other day. It was like, look, we've got otters because there's been no one out. We've got otters in the pond in Middlesbrough Park. You know, and everyone was like, lol, makes a change from, you know, dead smackheads or prostitutes or whatever. And it made me laugh because when I watched the video, they were all swearing like fucking there. Like the kid was like, hey, it's fucking mint, that in it. And the mayor shared it. And I was like, you wouldn't get a Sadiq Khan doing that, would you? Oh, Paz is in. All right, mate.
All right, Paz. It's just made me, it actually makes me think of a thing that I saw earlier on. One of my mates sent me, you know, what's the difference between a Democrat and a hooker? You know, the hooker will stop screwing you when you run out of money.
That's good, right? But I like the guy. I forget what my fucking original point was going to be now, but it was, what were we talking about before I went on about the fucking mayor?
There's a good fucking question. I'm drinking whiskey. I've got an excuse.
Yeah. All right. You're younger than me. Anyway, the point is, it's fucked up now, isn't it? This whole thing with the coronavirus. And
that's right.
Oh yeah, no, I like him because he's been skeptical about it, and he said we're not gonna stick with a lockdown. But then he went and met him, and then he said, okay, then we are. So they must have fucking promised him something, which was disappointing.
Big load of money. Money always talks.
Always.
So it is, and that's why I always maintain that most people, or 99.9% of people who go into politics with good intentions, will always end up corrupted to some degree because they'll be getting money, they'll be getting backhanders, they'll be, you know, saying, you know, this is pretty lucrative wee deal for me and my family, and I look after my own.
I don't believe any fucker gets into it for honest intentions. I think by definition, if you want to be a politician, you're a fucking arsehole. I don't believe it. Because think about it, right? This is what I was telling you about. It's one good argument I've heard for the monarchy, is that if you're guaranteed a position, you don't have any ambition. So if the Queen got told from like, and again, ever this boring centrist cunt, I'm not that bothered about the monarchy. Like, I'm not a hardcore royalist. I just despise politicians so much. I don't see why we should hate the fucking monarchy. Like, it's like, are they any worse? Are they any worse than those cunts?
If you look at it from another point of view, people with power, you look at all the politicians, right? When it comes to Tory and even some of these fucking high up so-called Labour, for not really like traditional Labour, they're fucking millionaires. Some of them are millionaires before they get into it. Some of them start out just as normal, and all of a sudden they're millionaires, and they've got a couple of homes and all this. And nobody seems to think anything of it. Now, think of other people in positions of power, your police officers or whatnot. Now, if all of a sudden I started buying another house when I was working and come out with a big flashy car and started living the high life, and instead of just, you know, showing the signs of earning 30 odd grand a year or whatever it was, people will be starting to ask questions. That fucker's corrupt, you know. But they never seem to be really bothered about the bloody fact that politicians get rich. And they're not getting rich. Yeah. They're not getting rich from their bloody salary. Sure, look at Blackford. Was it 200 odd?
250 grand, and last year it was like 216, and this year it was 250.
Expenses, like, Jesus.
That's without the salary. That's what I keep telling people when I make the video about it. I was like, that's without the salary. That's because MPs, normal humans like you and I, our salary goes on food, clothing, bills. MPs put every fucking Twix. That fat cunt Diane Abbott sweats caramel, and every Twix she buys gets put on her expenses. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, I can't believe, again, we have to, I told you, politics does work in a way, because everything that goes tits up, ultimately, it's our fault. It's the people's fault. Because if enough people got pissed off about it, it would have to change. And it's our fault. It's our fault that they can put everything they fucking buy on their expenses. I just don't understand. The expenses should be limited. They should just write a fucking law and say your expenses is train tickets, plane tickets, bus tickets, petrol, and fucking, I don't know, rent. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we buying Diane Abbott's fucking sausage rolls? In fact, that's a cruelty in itself. She should be. You can put a bylaw in and say, if you're morbidly obese, you're allowed to buy Slim Fast shakes, but nothing, no crisps, no Twixes, no fucking butter. You fat fuck. And I just can't understand why that's still in the legislation, that your expenses can. It seems like there's no cap on them, is there? Like if it's 250 grand a year just for expenses, I guess there's no cap at all.
No, I don't believe there is. I think it's just, well, as long as you can put down and say you've done it and you've got the receipts for it, that's it.
Leximus Maximus said, do you know how the expense claims came to light? I don't know. I remember it being a big thing about 10 years ago, but I don't know exactly how it came to light. How did it come to light, Maximus? Enlighten us. Okay, Greg's. Of course, I'm Northern. I like Greg's. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's and here, did you see the anti-lockdown protest in London today? You're probably only not long up, but peaceful protest, and there's videos left, right, and centre, and the police just going in through them and starting to lift people and batting them, and all the people were doing was marching.
Shocking.
Unreal.
So Lex said that it was a whistleblower in the services, so probably i.e. armed forces or civil service, went public after they were skimping on protection for the army in Iraq, and he's working for the MOD at the time. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because they're the people who really run the country, is the civil service, and which is another reason why we're in the mess we're in, right? Because this is what I've told you, we've got a partisan civil service. Our civil service is aggressively partisan. Again, just like in America, the FBI, the CIA, the people who you can't elect are the ones who have the real power. It's not the fuckers whose faces you know. It's the mandarins, the very top people in the civil service. They're the fuckers who run the country. So I was telling my mother-in-law the other day, we were arguing about politics. She was like, oh, I think they'll kill Trump when he gets out because he knows too much. I was like, he doesn't know anything, because really, the powerful ones are the ones... I was like, you know Judi Dench in the fucking Bond films? Do you think she won a fucking election? They're the cunts who run the country.
That's it. They know what's going on behind the scenes. They know all the dark and dirty stuff that's going on.
And it's only when one of them...
Fact, they're the puppet masters.
Yeah, and it's only when one of them got pissed off that we got the expenses scandal. Well, that should have been known from fucking day one, shouldn't it?
That's right. It's just... It's mind-boggling that you can have expenses that are 4, 5, 6, 7 times more income than your bloody salary.
Unbelievable. That horrible twat Blackford, man, they make me sick. It's like, how can you claim to be like a lefty socialist type and just be absolutely rinsing the taxpayers? Because they must know, again, if you and I know this and we're just laymen, everyone knows that the government doesn't have any money at all. Every single penny is taxes. The government has nothing. They create nothing. They take money off the taxpayers. So when Fatty Black Tits gets his money off the fucking expenses, it's window cleaners, bus drivers and plumbers that are buying his fucking sausage rolls. And it just sickens me. I was reading about him last week in that article I found on the video I made. He's just bought his wife a new Range Rover, like 80 grand or something. And she's beaming on social media with the keys. It's like 80 grand for a car, but you're billing me when you buy a packet of fucking Monster Munch. It's just criminal.
It's all kinds of wrong. Well, he'd probably lose a wee bit now. This photographer has sued him, for his little stupid tweet.
Fucking cunt. I hope he is suing him. And again,
be a better man. Fuck, I can't. He's one of the few
stars.
people. Yeah, one of the few people who I really utterly fucking despise in life. You couldn't like him.
No.
He's just impossible to like. As one of my mates.
And he was a banker.
Change the B with a W. But I said, like, you couldn't warm to him if you were cremated alongside him,
Yeah. No, it's shocking. And the fuckers having to go at me on my channel like, oh, yeah, well, you're just jealous. It's like, how come you're sticking up for the millionaire banker now as well, by the way? Like, as long as he's your millionaire banker, that's politics, though, isn't it? But it is. Zardos said there what I'm saying. In the UK, the civil service is 100% pro-EU. That's why you can see how corrupt it is. And it only happened due to incredible obstinacy and stubbornness from the British public, because they did everything possible to get out of Brexit. Down to the last man in Parliament, the Tories were the same. The Tories said they were pro-Brexit, they weren't. The civil service, the mandarins, the NGOs, everyone did everything. That's why we had to have like 5 elections. I think it only must have settled, it only must have sunk in after Farage made a party in like 2 weeks and won the fucking European elections. Then I think they realised, they must have thought, you know what? Even though none of us want to do it, we have to. Because if you can just do that from nothing, these cunts are ready to burn us fucking out like rats. And we would have done, like, honestly, the general public is pissed about that. Like 5 years of trying to get out of it. And they must have realised, like, we have to go for it.
If they fold in any way now at all, they're fucked come the next election.
Yeah.
So they are. And I think they're going to be fucked anyway because of the way they've handled everything. And like more debt, all this debt that's going to have to be paid off. It's going to, well, it's already starting. It's going to affect people's pensions. People aren't going to be able to leave things to their children when they pass on. And it'll be, like as you said in your video, from the war and everything like that, you're still paying and paying and paying for it for fucking hundreds of years.
I know.
And it's just a whole cycle of fucking misery. And everybody at the start was praising, you know, this furlough scheme and stuff like that from Itchy Nutsack, as I call him. But he, you know, it's just, if they handled it right, fair enough at the start. Nobody knew what it was, lockdown, yep. But as you said, once you got all the facts and figures, all the stats, open the thing up again, because by killing the economy, you're killing more people than you're bloody saving. You know, there was a story even on, I saw it on Twitter, and I looked up the link. Some nursing home owner was so distraught about the people dying in his nursing home because they'd been shipped there from hospital and whatnot. He went in, sat in his car and blew his head off with a shotgun. You know, and
fucked. Well, again, and that's what Hitch said, right? You act as if locking a country down doesn't cause deaths. You know, it does. Yeah. And I seen one ONS statistics on Talk Radio, said official ONS statistics said estimated mortality from lockdown is 200 to 250,000. It's like, so if that's just the official ONS statistics, and we know for a fact 2 things now. So again, basic maths a fucking 8-year-old could do. If we know for a fact, 1, that 60,000 people or less died from COVID. I say or less because I don't believe the figures, but I'm giving them as much leeway as I possibly can. So let's pretend they are accurate. I believe the official stats 58k. I'll even give them 2 for free. So let's say it's 60k, even though I don't believe it's anywhere near that high. If 60k dead from COVID, but 200, and let's do the lowest, 200k dead from fucking lockdown, what's that? 10-year-old could do it, 140, right? I know Headcock's a mong, but even he can do 200,000 minus 60, right? Yeah. So therefore, you're 140 in the bank if you don't do the fucking lockdown. Does it need to be any more complicated than that? I mean, I can talk shit about coronavirus for an hour, but does it need to be any more complicated than that?
But then there's another side of it as well, and it's only sort of become apparent to me because of personal experience. All these appointments that people are supposed to be getting in hospitals, you know, people who have to go for tests for, you know, to see if they've got cancer or whatnot, all these things have been put off. And so there's a few people getting back in now. I'm supposed to be seen every 3 months by my consultant, and I waited all year and eventually had a quick consultation with him there, a couple of months ago. And it was like warming into a hazmat scene. But anyway, so there's a few things have changed and the conditions worsened a wee bit. So he says, I'm not going to change any of your medication or any of your treatment until we do a heart scan and another CT, high resolution CT of your lungs. So here's me thinking, well, that's going to take a bloody while because the waiting list for these things is pretty long. But what do I get? A letter from a private clinic saying that all the CT scans from the health trust are going to the private clinic. Now think about the cost of that in itself. And normally, like I've had a couple of private health appointments before. And normally, if you get one of those, you phone them up, and they'll make an appointment. It's probably within a couple of days or the next week. This one I got 2 weeks ago, and the first available date is in the middle of January, and that's private. So you think if it's putting the private health sector under that much pressure that it's taking a few months for something that usually takes a couple of days, think of the added on cost that it's costing the NHS to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because going private is not bloody cheap.
No, criminal. It's criminal. We're ruining everything. Again, Hitchens said, right?
There's all kinds around.
The economy, you don't have an economy, you don't have an NHS. And they make out as if the lockdown is consequence free. And like I said, that's official figures. It's killed 200,000 people, lockdown.
Yeah.
And the COVID's only at 60. So what's the debate? Kate said there she had it. That's just reminded me. Kate said she had it and it was like a routine worst cold. Tony said he had it and he just felt a bit of a cold. My aunt and uncle both got it because I rang my dad last week. I did my fucking biannual phone call home and he said your Uncle Ian had it. So I rang the fucker and he said it was literally didn't know he had it at all. So it seems to be, and this is from now knowing probably about a dozen people who've told me they've had it. He said he didn't even know he had a cold because he's really slim. Him and me, Aunt Jackie, they're both in the 60s, but they're skinny, healthy.
Yeah.
Didn't even know they had it. He said if it wasn't for, I had no sense of smell and it was like weird. So I got a test. I had fucking COVID. He said, didn't know I had it. It wasn't even as bad as a cold. And it seems to be all about comorbidities. So if you're really healthy and active, it doesn't do fuck all to you. And it's like, so you could argue that it's not even as bad as seasonal influenza if it's true that 60,000 people died in 1 month in January 2018. It's not even as dangerous as the flu. And this is what I'm saying about why people have started turning to conspiracy theories. Like, if it's not even as dangerous as that, and we didn't have a lockdown for that, or swine flu, or H1N1, or the one in the 60s, or the one in the fucking... It's like, why?
Well, this is one of the benefits of doing a whiskey review channel, because the first thing you do is obviously nose it, and oh fuck, I can't smell anything. Shit, I'll just go to the sea and just gently fucking away.
You know if you're at it, yeah.
because the likes of me, if I get it, I'm supposedly fucked. You know, it's just like, that's it. Get your house in order because you'll be dead in a couple of days. You know.
Yeah.
But having said that, in the last 4 years, I've had the flu, which I have to say, it was pretty fucking rough. It floored me completely for me 10 days. Fucking awful.
Yeah.
When the storage were away, it was nebulizers, oxygen, the whole bloody works. It was fucking awful. And then in 2016, at the same time, I had fucking sepsis and pneumonia. Fuck. And I was in hospital for that. So if I survived that, there must be some fucking bite somewhere in me, you know.
You best stick to fucking Zoom then for a few more months.
That's it. I think it's just a desire to get out and taste more bloody whiskey that's doing it. So it is. But I do think, to some degree, that, well, as long as you don't go overboard, alcohol does help.
Well, in small doses, probably. I know that they say like a couple of glasses of wine a week's good for you, isn't it? But yeah, my problem's moderation. But yeah, it's one of the things.
Well, it's the same here, especially at the weekends. But it's
what can you do? Right. Well, I'm sick of talking about COVID now. Anyway, it is one of them things. Like I keep trying to avoid it, and you just end up going back there because you can't blame people, can you? It's like I've told you. I always tell Americans when they say, "Why do British people always talk about the weather?" And I said because it's fucking shit. If something's shit, you talk about it all the time. Like the weather's shit, so people talk about it. Manchester, every fucking time you go, it's pissing down. You got webbed feet if you fucking live in Manchester. It's shit. So you whinge about it a lot. And COVID, you can't help but go back to it every time. You try and talk about the Iranians, and 10 minutes later, about fucking COVID-19 because it's shit. Because they've locked everything and fucked everyone and decimated the economy.
If it happened over here, they did a big strike like that and took out somebody over here, despite the fact that he's probably in several pieces and some bullet holes in some of those pieces, it's probably a COVID death.
Yeah.
So it is. You know, here, we'll talk about it. You're talking about Maradona the other day.
Yeah.
And do you see what that two of the three mortuary workers are now dead.
Really?
The other one is critical. I got a message about it, and some of the videos are pretty gory. The ultras got a hold of them and beat the living shit out of them.
Really?
Yep. So, and some of the videos gory as fuck. Like, they put them in some like bin on the street. The three of them all together, and it's quite obvious from the videos that they've got one hell of a bloody beating. Like, so they have. You know what the ultras are like in South American countries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Why though?
Out there. It's just like because Maradona was a god, and it was sort of like by doing what they did, they have disrespected him. Fair enough. If you're going to do a photograph like that, don't put it on social media. God damn.
No. No.
It's all kinds of wrong. But at least they got their pictures taken with them. Now they're probably fucking seeing them.
I did laugh at the fake one, Shilton, the fake Peter Shilton. Try and cheat death, you little fat cunt.
Well, there's some great ones. And it's just there must be people that just make a living doing shit like that, because sometimes the person's barely cold and there's fucking memes. And well, if you're like me and well, you're maybe worse than me, your mates are bombarding you with all this shit.
Yeah, there's every time someone dies now. I told you my favourite one was Gary Glitter. When Gary Glitter got arrested for paedophilia in Vietnam, it said, got a text off my dad and it said, the Vietnamese don't usually celebrate Christmas, but this year they're all hanging glitter. They're going to be hanging glitter. And I thought, that's a fucking good one. But some of them are class, aren't they? But as you say, it doesn't matter what the event is now as well. Like, and I do sort of admire that, because I've told you before, I do admire dark humour. I think that humans have the best way of dealing with awful tragedies to laugh about it.
Dark humour is just
so I don't.
Hard to beat.
Yeah, but seriously, like, there's a time and a place, isn't there? And this is my point. This is why I've got no time for them firing people who do stuff like this. Even really, really bad stuff like 9/11, there was jokes about it, because it's how people cope. Like, if you laugh at a joke about 9/11, it doesn't mean any part of you supports it, but it's the way humans deal with bad things. And that's why I don't like people needlessly spitting the dummy out about it. Like, there was even jokes about that. There's jokes about cancer, dead fucking babies, every fucking thing. Like, it doesn't mean if you laugh at one, you are pro that thing. It's just the way people deal with bad stuff.
It's just like, I fucking laugh at myself all the bloody time. And like, I know I get some things, and there's a set list of people I can send them on to. Then I get some things, and there's maybe two people I can send them to, because even some of the other guys will be like, oh, that's a wee bit close to the bone, But it's like I can look and fucking laugh at something like this, Back in the day, there's Paddy and Mick, they're in the IRA. They've set a fucking big roadside bomb waiting for a police patrol that passes this point every fucking day at the same time. So comes that time, they're looking at the watch, no police patrol. So it's maybe we'll sit and wait, you never know. An hour passes, they're like, fuck, we're sitting out here, we're ready to go, ready to press the button when they're going past. Another hour passes, like, fuck me, I need to go home for my dinner here. And then Paddy turns to Mick, he says, fuck's sake, he says, that's 2 hours have passed. I hope nothing's happened to them. And it's like, well, the absurdity of that, I hope nothing's happened to them when you're sitting waiting to blow them fucking up.
Yeah. No, there's some good ones. I'm not down with the slamming people. I mean, nowadays, look at that, they go back 15 years, don't they? When Toby Young got that job with the government, they went back 15 years. They were like, oh, you told like a sexist joke 15 years ago. Oh, you can't have the fucking job then? I was like, what fucking world are we living in? That's ridiculous. And people need to have the courage. Like I said, I think someone big sometime soon will do it, and it'll open the floodgates, because people just need to start telling them to fuck off. Like, the government, again, because the Tories are weak, limp-wristed fucking scumbags. But they should have just said, who gives a fuck? Like, seriously, they're meant to represent the people. We live in an elected democracy. 90% of the general public do not give a flying fuck. So when they say, oh, look at this, Toby Young sent some sexist tweets fucking 13 years ago, they should say, so what? Communist. I don't care.
Look at the freelance football commentator who has been suspended for the rest of the year for describing a sort of like a, one of these typical namby-pamby fucking pushing malarkeys that go on between footballers when something happens, as describing it as handbags.
Oh, you got sacked for that?
Yeah, because that's not within the ethos of the BBC.
Unbelievable.
Fuck me. And it even says in the dictionary, the definition of it is like usually for a sporting term where players are doing things that are swearing up at each other and they're not really trying to do anybody any harm. He got fucking suspended.
Fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And then the eating teacher as well. Have you heard about the eating teacher?
That is scandalous. Scandalous. Aren't you supposed to get two sides of an argument and then make your own mind up? They're basically saying there, this is why the communists, you're not allowed to hear both sides of the argument. It's dogma. We'll tell you what you have to think. And he said, well, can't I put my case forward? No, you fucking can't. You get fired. It's like, it is unbelievable.
He didn't even get to put it forward. The video didn't even get shown. But apparently half of the students at Eton now have signed a petition to say they want it back. Yeah. Which is good. And say the Free Speech Union is on the case as well. So hopefully that will make some sort of an impact, because you can't let these fuckers away with stuff like this. You need to get stuck into them and say, like, enough's enough. And the thing is, if people on the so-called right or centre-right were as vociferous, if there were much fight in them as the people on the left, it would happen, because the people on the left are in the minority, but they fight harder.
Yeah, totally. And they're a tiny minority, aren't they?
They're like zealots. And what they do is they just fight. They keep going. They're like a dog with a bone, like it's like a piranha fish in your leg. You don't get the fucker off. And the other side is like, we'll just, for the sake of happiness, we'll just give them what they want. And this is where we're going wrong as a society, where we're letting the tail wag the dog rather than the other way around.
Minority rule, isn't it? You've got, like I said, I reckon 80, even most centre-left Labour voters, I mean, especially the red wall types. This is what the crap with the likes in Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, all voting Labour. They only do it out of habit because they've been told not to vote for the other thing. But on a personal level, those people are socially conservative. Those people, they're not communists. You have your average Geordie who's been voting Labour for 20 years. He's not there saying, let in all the immigrants, let all the pedos out of jail, sending more foreign aid, no borders, Extinction Rebellion. None of that shit. It's so I would go so far as to say 95% of the country probably doesn't agree with the politics of these people. Even, literally, it's like the 200,000 people that read the fucking Guardian. And maybe a few 100,000 that have listened to the BBC regularly. But 90% of the country, even if they're Labour voters, they're not extremists. They're not far left communist types who think you shouldn't. I mean, what percentage? If you did a referendum, should we fire the guy from fucking Oxford who said toxic masculinity is not really a thing? What percentage? I reckon 95% would say no. Of course you fucking shouldn't.
Of course, and maybe more.
But you've got that sort of hardcore 5% who just fucking won't have a word said against them. And the reason they won't have a word said against them is because they know they can't win the argument. Because if you have it out in a cold light of day and there's a debate, they lose the debate. So they don't want you to have it because they know they can't win.
It's all kinds of wrong.
Have you got children in the room, Al?
No, the dog has just heard the other two coming in, and the wife and the daughter, and he wants to go out and see what they've brought home in case he can get something. He's always like that. So he just...
Oh, I have to do one soon anyway. I'm meeting a mate of mine at past. We've been going over an hour. Time flies when you're having fun.
That's right.
We only did one of the 3 news stories I wanted to talk about because we talk shit so much. I was going to go on about the French, the riots as well. Apparently it's kicking off in France. But I suppose we can skip that because it's always kicking off in France. And then Biden's Thanksgiving speech, if you didn't hear that,
No way, but he only got the 1K.
he amusingly had the balls to come out and say we're not at war with each other. Like after the last fucking 4 years, yeah. When Hillary Clinton went on TV and said basket of deplorables and basically labelled 100 million people scum. Now apparently we can all be fucking best mates.
That's right. Let's all hug and
It is. It's crazy.
come together and stuff. You know, it doesn't matter all the last 4 years, even 5 years if you think of the campaign beforehand, you know. From
You can't make it up, can you? You can't make it up.
No, you're all Nazis, you're all bigots, you're deplorables, you're fucking thugs.
Fucking scum.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, this scum of the earth, you know. And now all of a sudden, you know what? You're all right. And
Let's
then
be
in the background,
mates.
you've got some of these ones coming out. You've got some of these ones coming out and saying, well, maybe we should start up like wee camps to deprogram Trump supporters, deprogram Republicans, so that they can come round to right. Thinking, fucking hell.
Yeah.
You know, that's just pure communist that.
All right, here, one thing we can do before I fuck off. What do you think of that then? Richard Turpin's comment. If Macron loses the fishing, he's doomed. A very astute point. But my point is this. What do you think is going to be the outcome there? Because it does seem like a massive one. Like, wars have started for less. You know, Austria-Hungary, fucking World War One started off after one guy got shot. To me, that is a massive one, right? Because we've had wars over it. We had the 3 Cod Wars with the Icelandics. Basically, the short version is, if Macron loses that one and gets absolutely zero access to any fishing waters, 10 million Frenchmen are going to go fucking mental. So he can't cave. And Boris Johnson can't cave either.
He can't cave either.
Because he knows if he does, he's fucked. And Farage will dust off the Brexit party and they'll just get destroyed. So what do you think is going to happen?
Oh, Jesus. What to think and what to hope for now. I think Boris will probably cave a bit. Hopefully not too much. Because the way it is at the moment is fucking ridiculous. Like if I point that way, 6 miles up the road is Kilkeel, where I was reared. It's my hometown, and that was the biggest fishing port in the whole of Ireland. And
now it's ruined. Yeah.
Big booming industry, and now it's a fraction of what it was. And you've got this. At the same time, there are not too many poor fishermen, but the way things were done over the years, the Europeans had more rights to fish in our waters than we had.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of fucking wrong. And I know at times over the years, there was a big row with the Spanish at one time. And it is just, what gets me is the French, when it comes to these things, they fight like fuck. And they really cause a big racket. And it seems that a couple of generations on, the white flag doesn't come out just as quick as it did. And we need more fight on this side, but it's totally decimated the fishing industry over here, like to an awful extent. Like what we get now is like and I don't know a whole big pile of it. Well, I know enough about it because I covered it as a local journalist. I covered it for donkey's years, and I still remember a big sign up because there was a bit of a thing between farmers and fishermen because the farmers were getting all their EU subsidies, you know, for farming and whatnot, and the fishing was getting the shite cut out of it every year. Yeah. So the were and up at the Snowball Slipway where the boats come up to get fixed and stuff. The big control room was a big green thing, and up on the side of it was somebody had painted a cow and written above it, "Death to all cows," you know. And
sounds like Alan Partridge, where the farmers drop a cow.
Everything was being ripped to pieces, but it used to be a family industry. You know, daddy was a skipper, son will go and learn his trade on the boat, become a skipper, then son.
I know. It's a tragedy.
See now,
tragedy.
Fuck me. There's maybe a lot of the boats have got maybe one family member on, or one person, and then the rest are all like fucking Filipinos or something. And it's like, I remember, I mean, this is going back a while because I haven't been in the lifeboat crew for a while. I remember one Sunday night getting a call, and there was a boat. I don't know what they were doing. They weren't fucking watching what they were doing. It was a nasty enough night. And they hit the rocks outside the harbour on the way in, and it was not a very pleasant situation. So we didn't have too far to go. It was just because the lifeboat station's only like 30 metres away, you know. And but we got a rope to them to keep them steady and whatnot. And another lifeboat was coming to help out as well. And there was one local on it, and I think 5 Filipinos. And see, trying to communicate with them, these fuckers wanted to jump overboard and stuff, you know.
It also has operational ramifications. I always talk about that as well. It's not being anti-migrant, but you need to have another of the 500 reasons you need a common sense approach to immigration is that if you've got like one guy with 10 locals, it works well. The lad picks up the language dead fast, and there's no problems with communication. But if you've got 50-50, you start to run into issues. And it's That's even the same in the military, you know, occasionally when you're in a war and you need extra people, you'll get backfilled with, Royal Marines, you can get Royal Marines Reserve, rubber daggers. But the rubber daggers, how we work it, because we're not fucking lunatics like the Americans who just send them en masse to take an area. We just filter them through all the commando units. So we'll get like 30 rubber daggers. I'll backfill the commando unit for casualties. When you've got casualties in Afghanistan, start running low on people, you get rubber daggers, but you literally get one. So you'll get one guy turn up and say, oh yeah, where do you want me? And they go, you're in Charlie Company. And then he's surrounded by full-time soldiers, so it doesn't really matter. He quickly fits in, he learns from them, and it's all right. But if you just went, fuck it, let's have 50-50 rubber daggers and proper commandos, you'd have an issue, wouldn't you? It'd affect your operational effectiveness, and that's another thing with immigration, isn't it? If, like I've said many times, if you have a process and a procedure, they integrate really well, and the next generation are all integrated. And if you have one Somalian family move to your town, when those kids grow up, they're going to talk just like you. But if you fucking move 30 in and just give them a street, that street becomes fucking Somalia. And then you've got roasting goats in fucking front gardens and no one can speak a word of bastard Irish or English.
People in their surrounding streets getting fucking mugged.
Pissed off, yeah. So common sense approach as always. But we'll see what happens. I do think you might have to bend a little bit because they're both fucked there. If Macron, I don't know what the EU will do. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. But right, I have to fuck off, mate, because it's nearly 10:15 and I'm meeting a mate of mine at 10:30.
Aye, well, I have to go and see the wife and say, oh, good to see you again. You should have been home fucking 3 hours ago. But
finish your drink, mate. It was nice talking to you. As usual, I'll see you very fucking shortly. Thanks to everyone for watching. Cheers.
Cheers, folks.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you all very soon. How do I stop this? There it is. Cheers. See you, Al.
Yeah.